child everywhere.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Grit and Grace, where we have all the time honest conversations about teaching, leadership, and what it really takes to make a difference for our students. Now, today's episode, I'm a bit nervous, but it has a very fun title. And it is called Gretchen Spills the Tea on Teaching. Gretchen came up with that title, and this is her unfiltered episode. She's been she's been dying to have this, and I said if we had enough people comment, then she would get to have an unfiltered episode. And you came out in droves, so here we are today. So before you picture us, though, gossiping about education, that's not what this is. I would have a problem with that. So today's conversation is really about, when you look at it in planning for this, it's about telling the truth. The truth about moments that challenged us, the truth about what made teaching harder than it needed to be. And I see that happen on a regular basis in schools now. The truth about leadership, professional learning, curriculum, and some of the realities that educators navigate every single day. Those are things that we'll be talking about today. Because here's what I believe. We are not today telling the truth to tear education down. We tell the truth because we care enough about the field of education and education as a career to make it better. Education is one of the most meaningful professions in the world, but it's also by far one of the most demanding. Too often, teachers feel, unfortunately, like they're expected to carry impossible expectations while quietly navigating frustrations that really no one seems willing to talk about. So today we're going there. Gretchen and I are diving in and we're going there. And like I said earlier, Gretchen's wanted to do this episode and speak these truths from the beginning, from day one. And today is finally her day. So joining me today is someone that I deeply respect, not only because she's my daughter, but because she's an exceptional educator, but also because she is always, and yes, I mean always, willing to have the truthful conversations that matter. Gretchen Goettl has spent years in classrooms, and today she's sharing the lessons, her deep frustrations, and insights that she has gained along the way in her journey. So, Gretchen, welcome to your episode. How do you feel?
I am so excited. Also, a little nervous, but very excited. And I just want everyone to know that I have been filtered a little bit,
No,
a little bit. Um,
no, my. Okay, listeners, tiny, 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 teeny, tiny bit, not greatly.
so anyway, my point is I will be looking at my notes more today than usual to just, make sure that I say things gracefully and I really don't let that grit part of my soul come out.
Oh,
But I do just want to say that, since we talk about literacy and I'm really passionate about early literacy, I did want to play like a little rhyming game on this
oh my.
episode. And whenever I got really fired up, I wanted to be able to say, this is when we would say, what the word that rhymes with duck? But I guess my mom just doesn't care about rhyming because she told me that that wasn't possible. So,
Yeah, and I told you that because it had nothing to do with rhyming. I'm big on rhyming as foundational skill, but it was what you meant by that.
mm,
If
okay.
that's what you're calling filtered, then I'll say, yeah, I did filter that part. All right. Okay, so here we go. You named the episode Spill the Tea on teaching. So, all right, Gretchen, here we go. We're spilling the tea. I look at this, though, as really telling the truth about teaching. Some of the things that educators often talk about quietly in the hallways or maybe the teacher's lounge, but rarely say out loud. So let's start there. I want to start off with with a question, and it is, what frustrated you the most during your years in the classroom?
Okay, first of all, I just want to say that I do have fun props. So I do have this cute little teacup that I've been
Cute.
spilling the tea out of.
Cute.
But anyway, okay, so what frustrated you the most during your years in the classroom?
I know you
Well,
had a lot, but what was one that was the
a,
most?
a lot of things left me feeling frustrated. My biggest frustration comes down to several phrases that I heard repeatedly throughout my career. So the first one that I'm going to start with, this phrase just like makes my skin crawl and just sends me into a tailspin. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Yes. I don't know. I guess so. Yeah.
You will never be given a perfect score on an observation because they will always find something that you need to improve. So many mentor teachers and coworkers have said this to me. I'm going to say it again. You will never be given a perfect score on an observation because they will always find something that you need to improve. And here's where I go unfiltered. Bull crap. If we are allowed to educate children, then we should always have a perfect score on an evaluation because we should be producing perfect teachers who are highly trained and highly effective. Why on earth would anyone evaluating a teacher be proud that they found something that needed to be improved? That is sick. Absolutely sick. I was once told that I needed to share, this is just ridiculous, more photos of my class for social media. You can only imagine. My response was, I am too busy teaching and closing gaps to have my phone out taking pictures. When every child can read on grade level, then I might take some photographs.
For that day, you called me on that one.
Mhm. Yep. So, anyway, okay, so that's
So,
one.
well,
Yeah.
can I add something there? I know this is your episode, but I don't know if you remember this story because you were a lot younger. But I had been away. I took several years off, to raise you and Garrett and get you ready for school age, and then went back to teaching. So when I went back, I had a principal. So every principal, Gretchen, that I ever had actually said that to me, except one. Mr. Phillips did not, but everybody else, every other principal I ever had said that no teacher with them would ever get a perfect evaluation, and they very rarely would ever give out fives. So, you know me, overachiever. I was seeking that perfect evaluation. So I don't know if you remember this, but in the summer, I would always work to really, really build up like my practices for the next year.
Oh, yeah.
So do you remember I came up with that closing song? And I wrote a song because I would get fours on my evaluation, 4 out of 5 on closing. So I literally come to the closing part and I'm doing now what I call success criteria, and I'm assessing whether or not they know it. And there's a song, and everyone stood up and we sang the closing song. Okay, so in closing, let's assess who know what you know and all of this. And I got a 4. And in the reflection on that, I'm like, I literally sang and danced that. How do you not get a 5? I sang and danced my closing. So the principal changed it, but I was just absolutely livid. Now, because you've seen me as a principal and superintendent, I always said that if teachers didn't have perfect evaluations, it's the principal's fault. And I still believe that. And if any teacher is on an improvement plan, I feel that's our fault and that's our
Mhm.
responsibility to work them off of that. So,
Okay, here we
yeah,
go.
I've lived that one.
Next
I've
phrase.
lived that one. Okay.
This phrase is going to be painful for you, but I apologize because you weren't in the classroom when this phrase came to be. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So, this is the phrase that makes me the craziest, angriest, and has personally hurt me the most. Okay. A principal must be an instructional leader. Now, I agree with that statement to the core that a
I know
principal
you do.
should be an instructional leader. However, here's where I get upset. I have known or heard of many leaders who have used this phrase as a way to get out of handling discipline. And that's not okay. Now, principals have a lot on their plate. I know this. This fact is not lost on me. I've witnessed it firsthand. Rather, though, than embracing instruction and abandoning discipline, leaders have to find a way to either healthily balance or delegate their responsibilities. We know that you have a lot to do, so we either have to balance or delegate, okay? I know that's not easy. I'm not saying that it is. What I'm saying is that if a student starts throwing chairs in a classroom and a teacher sends them to the office, that teacher should not be told, I have to be an instructional leader. You have to handle the discipline in your classroom. Oh, are there people saying amen? I think there are, because I did not make that up. I unfortunately know of multiple teachers who have lived that situation and have had that exact response or one very similar said to them.
Great
What is
pause.
that?
Pause. So okay. One, my blood pressure, I believe, is up, and I have very low blood pressure, but are you grinning? Okay. I thought you were grinning when I said that. My heart's racing a bit, so that pains me. Like that one hurts me because I say all the time that leaders need to be instructional leaders. But Gretchen, when I say that, I never, ever, 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 never, ever, never, ever am saying let the other responsibilities go. I'm
Right.
saying that that should be first and foremost, because if we aren't concerned about instruction, then what do leaders really feel that their
Right.
job is?
We'll
But
say.
it never ever means to ignore those things.
Mhm.
So it pains me that a leader would use that phrase to say that,
Mhm.
or leaders, if that's plural.
But, we have to think about it. We say to be explicit, we say to be clear with our students. So we also have to be explicit and clear when we're training leaders and say, you are an instructional leader, but
But
you have
that
other
does
roles
not mean,
as well.
yeah, that does
Yes.
not mean to give
So,
up.
I've never, in my entire life, I've never been a person to just sit and complain about a situation. I'm very much a, if you got a problem, oh my God, my words are so confused. If you got a problem, I'll solve it type person. Okay. And that's what ultimately led me to co-create this podcast and our Instructional Excellence Academy. Is I saw there was a problem and I was like, okay, here we go. We're forming a solution. I never want an educator to have to look back and think, I wish I had known more. I want every educator to walk into their classroom with confidence and a sense of purpose. I want every educator to know that they are having an impact and the peace of mind that all of their students are learning. That is called self efficacy, and we deserve it. Every single teacher deserves that confidence and sense of peace.
I am nodding and agreeing 100%. And honestly, and then when they have self-efficacy, then it leads to collective efficacy, and that's when you transform a school.
Yes,
Yes.
I would love to say that I've worked in a situation with full collective efficacy, every single person on board. I've wanted it so bad.
I know you
I
have.
never got it. And
And
it
I think there are people that will hear you say that
Mhm.
and one relate to it. And probably, I'm assuming here, be thankful that you were honest
Yeah.
and truthful and vulnerable enough to admit that.
Yeah.
So, and
It
I
breaks
think
my
that
heart.
comes back, what'd you say?
It breaks my heart.
And I think that comes back to leaders, the role of leaders and the power of a leader for us to do that, that it
Yeah.
has to, that's on us to do that. We set up the environment to make that possible.
Yeah.
Mm. All right, that one makes me sad. Okay. Was there ever a moment, I'm kind of almost hesitant to even ask, but when you questioned whether you wanted to stay in education?
There was never a moment. There were many moments.
Mm.
My second, fourth, and sixth year of teaching were very frustrating. Some would even say hellish. I'm going to be the person to say hellish. Absolutely hellish. Um, in my fourth year of teaching, I thought about throwing in the towel every single day. I loved the content I was teaching, but there were so many other factors that were making me miserable. And just, I spent a lot of time looking up cosmetology schools during that year, thinking, like, I've got to do something else. I'm going to learn how to be a cosmetologist, even though I'm not good at my own hair and makeup. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to provide this service for other people. And I'm just going to create a salon with the most beautiful, calming environment. It's going to be a little boutique. I'm going to sell clothes there too. And people are just going to love it. I even had a name for it. Okay. It was precious. It was a beautiful business plan. But anyway, to be 100% honest and unfiltered, I've never recovered from that school year. It dulled my love for teaching and my sparkle in the classroom. I mean, I was still a good teacher in years 5 and 6. I was still really effective, but it just wasn't the same. My heart did not get the joy from teaching that it had prior to that school year. And I don't know if I can simply blame that on education. I had a lot of different things going on in my life at that time, but I do know that that was definitely the turning point, and it was different from there on out. And honestly, that school year is, if not the biggest, one of my biggest motivating factors of leaving the classroom and working for you. I don't have the energy to fight these battles from the classroom anymore. I did it for 6 years, and I feel that I got further behind rather than moving forward. I felt like I was becoming less of a voice and less of a person to inspire change. And I just I don't have the energy for that anymore. And I feel that my purpose in education is to ensure that teachers never have a year like that. And working for you is the best way that I can make that happen.
I know, like in your heart, you don't ever want a teacher to go through some of the battles that you've gone
No,
through. And you don't want any
no.
teacher to go through some of the things that you've gone through with
I worked
leadership and things.
I worked with a teacher who we have a wonderful friendship. But one day she looked at me and she was like, "I don't understand. Like, how are you like?" There was a situation and I was just numb to it. And she's like, "How are you not like upset? How are you not stressed?" And she was like, "I want to be more like that." And I looked at her and I said, "No, you don't. You don't, because I have seen some things that have been truly awful, and that is what has gotten me to this point of just
Yeah.
like, mm, it is what it is." And that's a terrible feeling when things happen that aren't okay, but you're not even surprised by it anymore.
Yeah, that's that. We have to fix that though, Gretchen. We have to
Yes.
fix that. So sometimes people say that teachers are misunderstood. What's one thing people outside of education, in your opinion, simply don't understand about teaching and the role of a teacher?
Yes. Okay. When it is done right, teaching is absolutely exhausting. Oh my gosh. And to anyone who doesn't work in education, like I always phrase it like this: all the things that kids do in public that drive you crazy, those things happen in schools every day, and we don't have the option of just going to a different store. Mhm. Um, you know the commercials with like the sad, the malnourished, like abused animals normally has that Sarah McLachlan song that just makes you like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
like want to vomit. Yeah, we have kids in our classroom with that same look and that on their face and that same hunger. And you watching your television can't bear to see a sad puppy for a 30-second commercial. Well, how do you think we feel at the end of the school day, school week, and school year when we have to send our sweet little innocent children to homes where they may be hungry or mistreated? It is
There,
heartbreaking. It is emotionally taxing. And I truly believe that school districts need to provide therapy for their teachers. One, it's a lot of pressure to be responsible for a child's learning, because when you're responsible for a child's learning, you're responsible for their future. That's a heavy weight. But that weight doesn't even come close to the weight of knowing that you can't protect those students when they're outside of your care. When they're not in that classroom with you, you cannot protect them.
and that's heavy. It's very heavy. Even when I was, this, when I was a principal, I said that holidays forever changed for me
Yeah.
because on every holiday break, if you remember, sometimes I would even cry because there were certain families and students and situations that I was so troubled and so worried about. And I know you've had a lot of that
Oh,
over
yeah.
the years. Yes.
Yeah, and there is when it's a Friday afternoon and it's 5 minutes before the bus is dismissed and a child starts sobbing and says, "Please don't send me home. Please don't send me
Yeah.
home." And you
Yeah.
have to send them home. You don't shut that off when you get in your car and pull
Mm-mm.
into your driveway. You're sick
No.
all weekend thinking
Yeah.
about, if they didn't explicitly tell you, thinking about why did they not want to go home? And then if you do know why they didn't want to go home, you're thinking, please God, don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen. And then also a part of you wants to drive to their house and be like, okay, yep, nope, you're done. You're coming with me now. But you
Yeah.
can't. That's called
No.
kidnapping. So
So, what is one leadership decision that, in your opinion, made teaching for you harder than it needed to be?
So, not just for me, but this has happened to so many teachers that I'm friends with, like personal, lifelong friends with, and then other teachers that I've connected with throughout the years. Data collection and analysis. Okay. It is a true statement that we need to be collecting data and analyzing it. It's a part of teaching where I find a lot of joy.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah. However, when leaders are unclear about what data needs to be collected and how it should be analyzed and responded to, the whole process becomes frustrating and I think pointless because data is supposed to be clear. If we're not collecting clear data, we are making our jobs more difficult because one, we're wasting instructional minutes by collecting data that we're not going to do anything with. And then two, if you're not giving your teachers a clear plan on how to respond to that data, again, why did you collect it? Was it just to check a box of, oh, yes, we collected this data, but now we're not going to do anything with it? What's the
Okay,
point?
so, well, I think a lot of it comes down to, oh my,
I'm,
okay,
I'm
go ahead.
ending, okay? So many people, because I have that frustration, they love to look at me and say, well, then what data should we be collecting? In my opinion, it's really simple. Fluency, fluency, fluency. Oral reading fluency should be your most treasured and valued data point. The analysis is real simple. Is the student reading on grade level? If not, what is your plan to get them there? Will they receive intervention? Or are they close enough that a targeted small group in the classroom will work? I don't know why that is complicated.
Can I talk now?
Sure.
Okay. So this is something I do see as a consultant where teachers will voice this to me on the side. They'll have this side conversation with me where schools are collecting it. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Check out of compliance, check
Yeah.
the compliance box. But if you're not doing anything with it, I feel you're wasting the time of the students and the teachers both.
Yes.
And okay, so many of the things that you're saying, I'm constantly into fix it, solve it mode. It's so solvable, Gretchen. It's fixable.
Right.
These
And
things that
so,
you're talking about are fixable. They're
Mhm.
fixable. And they can be done so easily. Literally in a data team meeting, if anyone is unclear who is at grade level and why, who is not at grade level and why, and don't blame it on the student, but
Mhm.
what instructional practices have you tried? What interventions have you tried that have not gotten the student where they need to be? And so then what is our response to the data?
Right. And so this is something that, and maybe this is just how I look at it. Maybe this, progress monitoring tool company that I'm thinking of, this isn't how they have it designed, but this is how I think of it. Okay. So let's say that your three categories that you're testing are nonsense nonsense words, okay, sight words, and oral reading fluency. Okay. Oral reading fluency is the umbrella. That is the one you're talking about in your data meeting of, are they on grade level? Are they not? When they are not, your nonsense words and your sight words, those are your subcategories. You're looking, okay? So if they scored low in nonsense words, they have a decoding problem. Okay? That's how you gauge the why are they not on grade level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and so many people think that those three need to be treated equally. But
Mhm.
really they don't, because if you have a student who is on grade level, you're probably not going to need to look at their nonsense word reading fluency,
They should be fine with that.
Right.
So one of your other areas, so one was leadership that was frustrating to you, teacher evaluation, data collection. Another area that has royally, I know as your mother, frustrated you throughout your years in education is professional development. So what was your biggest frustration with professional development?
Again, so many. And I just want to preface that part of my frustration with professional development is that I have always been, even since I was in like middle school and high school, I have been the person that you practiced. If you had
Yeah,
a professional development session that you were
yeah,
giving, I was your practice audience. I was your editor. I looked over your PowerPoints.
yeah.
I was your stapler. I stapled the handout sheets. So I knew what professional development could be. And so then when I received professional development that was not that intense or was not that research based, it was very frustrating. Okay. And also, it was apparent to me. It's not apparent to everybody because you trust that the people that are coming in and the professional development that you're being given, you trust that it's accurate because otherwise, why would the school be spending all this money and making you have this training? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where a lot of my frustration comes from. Again, I've already mentioned the checklist. I hate when schools treat professional development like a checklist. If you're only providing professional development to say that you did it and check it off your list, I think you're wrong and you're just better off not doing it.
Like out of compliance.
Yes, absolutely. I also think that it's a common misconception that professional development has to come from an outside source. To me, professional development can be bringing your staff together for a book study. Okay. Let's
It
say,
can.
yeah,
It can.
well, honestly, I feel like that would be amazing. Another idea, I'm quite proud of this, is to have your staff analyze a lesson plan. Okay. Then watch a recorded video of that lesson being taught and talk about how the design affected the delivery. I mean, not to
And
pat
that's very valuable
not
professional
to pat
development.
myself on the back, but I think that last part was pretty genius.
It
Like,
it is, yeah,
I
very
really
good.
can do that
Yes.
with your staff. Send us an email and let us know because
Yeah.
I think that would be
Yeah.
amazing. But so there are ways to develop professionals that don't look like sitting in an auditorium with your entire district listening to someone speak.
I think that through the years I have heard from you, correct me if this is wrong, but I feel like what I've heard from you is the sit and get.
Yeah.
And this was my frustration as a teacher in the classroom. They would tell us what to do, but never how to do it.
Mhm.
And that is the thing that I pride myself on. I'll never ever tell a group, anybody that I'm training, what to do without why, the evidence behind it, and then how.
Yeah.
But I feel that we fail teachers when we don't give them the how.
Mhm.
Yes.
For anyone that's coming to our conference in Buffalo, New York, if you want to know a really specific story that I'm not going to share here
Oh
about
my.
something that was said to me in a professional development one time, just find me in a corner. It's rather entertaining. So like, don't be holding a hot drink or like taking a sip of a hot drink when I tell you because you might injure yourself.
Oh gosh. Lord have mercy. You'll be completely unfiltered at the conference when people
Oh,
have you face to face and you're not being recorded.
I know. Hey, that's reason enough to buy a ticket.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, let's continue on. Again, this has been my most nerve-wracking episode yet for not knowing exactly all that you're going to say, but
Well,
I'm
mine too.
powering
I
through. Are
don't
you
want to.
proud of
I
me?
don't. Mine too. I don't want to affect the Christmas presents that I'm going to
Oh,
get.
good golly. Okay. So, were there times when teaching, when you felt forced to teach in ways that you knew were not best for students, college or your regular career?
Yes, yes, and yes. And it has driven me crazy. And I swear it's taken years off of my life. I spent countless hours in college crying because I had to teach lessons that I knew were going to be ineffective, but I had to teach them ineffectively in order to pass the class. How messed up is that?
Sad.
I remember
Hmm.
I was placed at your elementary school. I went to a satellite campus, and our larger campus had conveniently forgotten to give us placements. So I had to be like, my mom's principal right down the road. I think she'd probably take us, and
And I
luckily we
said,
were able to.
I
hmm
said, send them all. Send them
But
all.
I actually remember like yelling at you in your office of, but it's wrong,
Yeah.
but it's wrong.
Not my school.
Yeah.
The
Oh no.
college information,
Yeah,
not my school. Yeah.
what I was expected to teach and how I was expected to teach it was wrong.
Yeah.
And, when the kids aren't used to that type of wrong instruction, then they're not going to be as receptive. And so then once
Hmm.
again, you're going to get a lower score on that evaluation. Well, the kids weren't engaged. Well, of course they weren't engaged. They know better than this.
Yeah.
Also, um, largely because of this and some of those negative experiences that I've had, I'm the weirdo who loves to be the only teacher in a grade level. I love the freedom to do my own thing and not worry about hurting others' feelings. Like when I taught middle school, I was the only sixth grade ELA teacher.
Hmm.
Phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I had a great seventh and eighth grade teacher in the English department that I worked with. But it was so amazing because those kids were getting what I knew was right. And I wasn't having to work around anyone else or, it was just amazing.
So I remember a situation that happened. You were in college
Oh boy.
and you called me, and it was the class where you were going to have to administer assessments.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an assessment that's been proven to be ineffective. And you
Yeah.
called me and you said, this is the only assessment we're being trained on. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's not what you should be giving. And you said, I have to administer this assessment and do this for this class, or I'm not going to pass this class. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are the colleges doing?
Yeah. And fortunately, I had an amazing professor who agreed with me on
Oh,
that.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, who was absolutely amazing and was like, "Yep, nope, you're right, but that's just where we are." And also
Mhm.
I lucked out because one of our really close family friends let me borrow her son to do that assessment with. So that way like I didn't feel like I was harming the education of another child. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, we're going to do this and, call it good. But
Gosh, we just can do so much better. Oh
oh, we
my
can do
goodness.
so much better. So much better.
Okay.
Oh
So,
wait, I have an experience that I want to share. So I remember this is one of like the most emotional moments I've ever had in my entire life. So as people know, I wear glasses. I've worn glasses since I was in the second grade. Okay, but I did not figure out until college that part of my problem with vision was visual tracking. Okay. And once I found that out and then I looked back at several things in my life, it made a lot of sense. So, for example, when I was young and I was a twirler and I would do my one spin where you toss the baton, you spin in a circle, and then you catch it. A lot of people told me I was being lazy and I wasn't trying enough and I could never master that. And I kept saying, no, I lose the baton. I don't see it when it comes back down. Or my favorite, keep your eye on the ball. Literally couldn't, guys, but whatever. Just I was unathletic and not trying enough, but literally could not keep my eye on the ball. But anyway, so I had found that out. And then I was in a college classroom, and at the front of the room, um, the professor was standing with this photo, and the photo had a caption underneath it, and it was really small, and like the printer was having trouble. So, I mean, it wasn't great quality. Well, she called on me to read the caption. And I was at the back of the room, so I couldn't really see. Um, And I was like, okay, and I'm trying to read the caption, and I'm finally like, it's my third attempt and I can't read this. And the teacher yelled at me, "What? Do you
In
not know how to
college?
read?" Yes,
In college?
in college. "What? Do you
Oh,
not know how to read?" It crushed my soul to a point of I actually got up and walked out of the room crying. Because I thought, oh my God, how many elementary school students are sitting in a classroom feeling that way
yeah.
right now? And it was the first time in my life that I had ever really had that feeling of what it was like to not be able to read something. I'd never had that before. And mine was simply just because of distance and poor quality of the image, but still that feeling and being talked to in that way, I was just like, oh, if this is what children are experiencing, this has to stop. This is horrible.
Oh,
But
okay. That
yeah.
also makes me sad. All
Yeah.
right. One of your other pet peeves, I know this personally, being your mother, is initiatives, 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 initiatives. So, what is an educational trend or initiative that has made you over the years shake your head?
So, first of all, the word trend shouldn't be a thing in education. It just shouldn't, because a best practice is forever. It's not a trend. So, I
And
just
it
want to
should be
clarify that.
evidence-based practices, evidence-based practices. Sorry, go
So,
ahead.
again, it comes back to phrases for me. So, these next few phrases are my opinion. Please do not throw tomatoes at me. If these have worked for you, fantastic. Maybe I misunderstood them. Maybe I observed them on a poor day, or maybe I just implemented them poorly. Maybe I didn't do it right. Okay. But I'm going to list a few of these phrases. And remember, just hold the tomatoes. Don't waste the tomatoes. There are starving children somewhere who would like that tomato. Don't throw it at me. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, the first one's so bad it makes me cringe. I don't even know if I can say it.
I'm
Class,
scared.
yes, yes.
I know you don't like that. I know you did not have a pleasant experience with that.
As a student, I did
I know,
not.
I know you did not.
Mm.
Yep. No.
Okay. Here's the next one. Number 2. Desk pets.
Oh gosh.
Can I say what the hell on that one? Can I?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
you just did. So
Okay.
apparently, yeah.
All right.
You okay? So pause. The group in Indiana, Tippecanoe Valley, I'm going to call them out right now. They actually said to me, "We feel that she'll use profanity." I'm like, "Well, I hope and pray to God she doesn't," but you just did. So they were right. Tippecanoe Valley, you were right if you're listening. She did it. She went there. Okay, go
I
ahead.
love you,
Next one.
Tippecanoe. Yeah. So desk pets. Whoa. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't have time for that
Uh,
one. Nope.
all things AI. Artificial intelligence. That means it's fake. It's not real. Stop letting the fake intelligence create your lesson plans, because you're admitting that you have to use fake intelligence, that you don't have that intelligence in your brain. Oh, I can't take it. Deep breath. Um, Center menus, letting the kids decide what they want to do.
Yeah, no, I shake my head at that one too. I can't
Nope,
deal with that one either.
I can't. If that if
No.
that has if that has worked for you, way to go. Good for you. It's never. I've never even tried it. I'm going to be completely honest on that one. I've never even tried it because the idea is so mind blowing to me that I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Finally, learning games. I can't. I've been in, I've been in, um, you know, lesson plan meetings when people are like, "Why don't we play a game?" And everyone knows my response. If you want to do that with your class, that's great. I can't, because my mom won't buy me Christmas gifts anymore.
Good grief.
So I can't play the learning game,
Well,
but if
no,
that works for you, great.
but now part of that goes back to there were times when people were doing stations and learning centers, and they thought, honest to God, Gretchen, they thought they could put out Scrabble as
Yeah.
a or Boggle or something. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I know of a teacher that thought one of the stations could be Twister. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? See, and then that goes back to something you've previously mentioned. Where is the high quality professional development that give teachers, one, the respect they deserve, but actually give them something that's an evidence-based practice that's going to help them move the needle in their classroom?
You know what though?
Okay, sorry,
I've
that one
never
got me
sat through.
fired up too.
Yeah, I've never sat through professional development where, I mean, yeah, people say you need, well, actually, some people don't even say you need to have centers anymore. That's a new thing. That's another trend, I guess, that I don't understand.
Of saying that small groups not
The
needed. Yeah,
banishment
I've
of
heard that
small
one.
groups,
Yep.
whatever. But I've never been in a training where people say you have to have small groups. Here's what they look like. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah. Well, they're not giving the how.
Right.
They're not
Right.
giving the how.
And
They
so
say
that
that
is
they say
something.
this thing with a phrase or a buzzword or an initiative word or something like that, and then they don't drill down and give the how.
Yeah.
Yes.
hmm
Okay. So I know too that your college years were some of them were very frustrating. And you did a lot of studying with me.
hmm
And you would ask me, like, what's the next thing I need to read, or who's the next person I need to study and follow. But what weren't you taught before you became a teacher that you desperately needed to know to be a successful teacher?
Oh,
You're a
what a
successful
loaded
teacher.
question. What a loaded question that I would just love to answer.
Oh
Okay, so
my.
there are so many things that I was not taught before becoming a teacher. And you know, I I really I liked the university that I went to. I loved my little satellite campus. I mean, Lord, I was the regional campus representative. Like I mean, I was a big part of it. And
You
I
had a
had
great
some really
experience.
Yes, I had
Yeah.
some really good professors. So, I don't want people to think that I'm crapping on my college experience because I'm not. But I had a lot of really good, really honest conversations with a lot of my professors about things that needed to change. Okay.
Mhm.
So they were aware of it and, they were trying to make those changes. I just didn't get to benefit from them. I was trying to help lead the change.
Yeah, because you had some great instructors. Like Laura Hurley was
Phenomenal. Love that woman.
fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic.
Dr. Sarah Garner for my early childhood
Yeah,
classes. Oh my gosh, amazing. Like incredible people to learn from.
yeah.
Um, and I won't say the ones who no.
No, let's not. Let's not. Let's not. Moving on. Oh my. I am going to filter that. Moving on. Mm-mm.
Oh Lord. Okay, but anyway, so college classes focus so much on classroom management. They say the phrase classroom management a lot and they talk about, your sticker charts and whatnot, but they really don't even go into classroom management when I reflect and when I look back. But anyway, so classroom management, buzzword. Okay. What they never talk about is time management. And
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
that that is so important. New teachers are overwhelmed by the large amount of things that they have to teach and then just the little bit of time that we're
Yeah.
given to do it. So, it would have been amazing to learn what part of a lessons go quickly and what parts you should elaborate on.
Yeah.
I figured this out on my own through trial and error, but it would have been so much easier if someone had explicitly taught that to me. It would have made such
Just
a difference.
I just got to do a training. I think we talked about this. Forgive me. I think we talked about this when I got on the road afterwards, but I got to do a training recently where I took the 90 minutes reading block and the
Yes.
120-minute reading block and broke it down by chunks of minutes, what should be in
Yes.
there. And do you know there were teachers that cried? They
Yes.
were so grateful because they're like, I've not had anyone ever show me. They just say, here's your block. And
Mhm.
all of this has to fit, but they've never actually, okay, so here's your first 3 minutes, the next 5 minutes, like what actually goes in that block in an effective manner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's unfathomable. And, that's like so many curriculums have so many pieces, but sometimes people don't realize, okay, this piece is an additional resource. If it hasn't been mastered, then you do this as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be included the first time, you know. But anyway, okay, so the next part, it's a little controversial.
Then maybe we skip it.
No, I'm going to break it down. I'm not going to let it be controversial. Okay?
Okay.
Good Lord, she's going to be the one to throw tomatoes at me, people. Bring those girls back
Tread
into the
lightly.
room.
Tread lightly.
Okay. No one prepares you for the real emotions of being a teacher. Okay. People talk about the emotions that make them feel like a good teacher. So, for example, heartbreak when a student is hungry. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would hope that would break your heart. That's just called being a human. You don't want to see anyone be hungry. Or
Empathy, sympathy.
or the joy when a student masters a skill. Well, yeah, I'd hope you'd be excited about that. That's a pretty obvious one. No one talks about the complicated or the ugly emotions. Okay? Teachers are human. Students are human. Oh my goodness, students are so human. And no one wants to admit that you will have students who don't mesh with you. Normally, if you go into education, you are a person who loves children, okay? And you can love children, but still be so vastly different personality wise or interest wise from that child that you have to be really creative and you have to put in a lot of legwork to make that connection. For example, Iron Man is my least favorite superhero. I hate those movies, they just make me insane. But I had a student once who could only talk about Iron Man. So no one told me in college that I was going to have to watch those movies and I was going to have to build up my skills so that that child and I could have something to be passionate about and talk about together. And on my end, it was a lot of fake it till you make it, but my God, it made that kid's day,
Yeah.
you know? And so often we don't talk about that. You're also,
Of the things, the things that you'll have to go through to reach all.
yes,
All of the, and
yes,
I think that's what one of the things you're getting at, because you've done that. I remember you would say, I've got a student that hasn't really developed that relationship with me. You talk through, like, you wouldn't even say their names, but you're like, I've got this one student. Sometimes you wouldn't even say boy or girl. I've got this student and I've got to find something to connect with them. And I mean, remember you would just exhaust yourself so that you would literally connect with every single
right,
child in your classroom. Yeah.
right. And so, like that, one of my favorite things was whenever I taught middle school, being able to be a part of the life of a middle school girl is such an honor because they're going through such a challenging time.
Yeah.
And so being able to talk to them in the hallway or before school or after school about the haircut that they're considering is amazing. And like being able to talk about, like, okay, so you told me that you wanted the wolf cut. So I went and I looked up some pros and cons. Let's help make that decision. Or like one time, oh, this is one of my favorite moments in education ever. I had a student come up to me and say, oh, Miss Hanlon, can I talk to you about something? And, my kids always knew that if you have something going on, I need to know about it so that I understand you and I know how to help you. Okay.
Yeah.
So this child comes up to me, Miss Hanlon, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, yes, of course, always. And the student said, okay, well, I've just gone from wearing a sports bra to a regular bra. And Miss Hanlon, I just went to the bathroom and I'm really worried. Like, I've got these indents in my shoulders. Is something wrong with me or is that just normal? And it's the conversations like that, the questions that kids have that, like people don't understand. And of course, you have to be professional and say, you know what, that's something that you probably need to talk to your mom about. But what an honor for that student to feel that you are such a trusted person and that you care about them enough that they could ask you that question. That's
Yes. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
So you have spilled some tea. I know you had your teacup. Okay. Here's why I love this podcast though. I started to say I, but we don't ever want teachers to stay in frustration. So now I'm going to change this and call it Let's Pour the Coffee. Are you rolling your eyes?
I changed mugs.
Did you change mugs?
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been
It's
sipping
not as
coffee the
fun.
whole time. Not as much fun. All right. But now let's pour the coffee. So at Grit and Grace, we're all about moving from honesty to hope. So if the tea was the truth, now let's pour the coffee and let's start talking about identifying problems to building solutions. So let's imagine that you had the opportunity to redesign some of these challenges. Okay.
Okay, so don't worry, guys. My personality's not going away.
All right. So if you could redesign teacher preparation, because I know that's a passion of yours, what would it look like? And I know you don't have time for all of it, but what are some of your big takeaways? What
So,
would it look like?
here we go. Another phrase. I would not allow any college professor or mentor teacher to say the phrase, "You don't know what you don't know." I would make sure that every teacher had the essential knowledge and skills to help all students learn. We don't have time to be unprepared when it comes to educating the children who are the future of our country. Like so many people said to me before my first year of teaching, "Well, you won't know what you don't know."
That
But
was
that's
said
not,
to you?
yeah, yes. But that's not good enough for someone's child. You know,
No, we
that
have to know. Yeah.
when that first grader came into my classroom on my first day of teaching, they deserved the best.
Yes.
There's no other way to phrase it. They deserved the best.
No.
And when I say the amount of time that I spent in college preparing for that first day of school,
Yeah.
because no child was ever going to be able to look back and say, "I didn't learn to read in the first grade because I had a first year teacher."
Yes. Yeah.
They may have not made it to grade level because, we may have had a considerable gap to close, but my God, it wasn't for my lack of knowledge or my lack of trying.
Yeah. And they all make gains.
They
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
They did.
Okay. Also, education majors are spending way too much time in college classrooms. Okay. Future teachers need to be in elementary schools, in classroom settings, interacting with children and learning from master teachers. Now, not the teacher who volunteers to take the teacher
Yeah.
candidate who's not a good teacher.
That's true.
Nope. The master teachers. Okay. Now,
Choose the
I
very best
understand.
ones. Yep.
Yes. I understand that there has to be some learning that takes place in the college setting on the college campus, naturally. Okay, but we have to make that time mean something. So, in my opinion, here's what future teachers need to be doing. Now, I've got several points here. Please wait to the end before you add on or comment. Okay.
I'm sorry, are you trying to filter me?
Absolutely. Oh, I'm allowed to filter you. You're just not allowed to filter me.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, you try that all the time. All right, go ahead.
All right, so here we go. In my opinion, what future teachers should be doing. 1, breaking down learning standards.
Oh,
What does that standard
yes.
mean? Okay,
Yes.
there's a verb in that standard. A verb is the action. What action should the students do as a result of mastering that standard? Right now, so often it's okay, here's the link to the standards. You just need to pick one to slap on your lesson plan.
Yeah.
Not good enough. Also, never in your career are you going to have to find your own standard. Your curriculum normally provides that for you. So that's not even an effective, habit to get into. But once again, who am I? All right, here we go. Number 2, exploring curriculums. How hard would it be for colleges to reach out to curriculum companies and ask for samples? Teachers need to be able to get that teacher manual in their hands. They also need to be able to see, the accompanying text that the kids are going to be reading. Because just tell me, how can we teach teachers how to ask and how to form text dependent questions if we're not giving them the text that the questions need to be dependent upon? That makes no sense to me. Okay, so here we go. Breaking down learning standards, exploring curriculums. Next point. Learning how to explicitly design lessons with learning intentions and success criteria. We say that in every episode, so I'm not going to elaborate. Finally, learning how to deliver lessons. I mean, explicitly teaching how to deliver a lesson. So often we guide, I can't even say we guide them in planning the lesson. We kind of hover as they plan the lesson, and then we expect them to just go out and do it. Okay? Why do we think it's a good idea to have a future teacher prepare a lesson that meets the college's expectations, not necessarily the classroom that they've been matched to, and deliver a lesson for the first time in front of a group of students who are not theirs and be judged on their performance? Who ever thought this was a good idea? That is such a flawed system. And also, those poor kids who are sitting there watching this person who may botch a lesson because just God help them, they haven't been taught how to deliver a lesson.
Yeah.
That's harming the future teacher and the students. Okay, that shouldn't be a thing. Also, this one is just really my opinion, but it's something that really bothers me. Teacher prep courses spend so much time focusing on what you should wear and how you should act when you're going to your classroom placement. You need to be professional. Absolutely. But we don't need to spend 3 class periods on that. Okay?
And that happened?
Yeah, every year. Again, this hasn't progressed with modern times. There is no better way to make a future teacher stand out in the year of 2026 than by making them wear a suit and tie or dress pants and their fanciest blouse to an elementary school, where the teachers are allowed and sometimes even encouraged to put the casual in business casual. I mean, truly, how hard is it to ask a principal what their teachers wear? You know, I mean, how hard is that? It just I don't get it. Like, I went to school with some really great male teaching candidates who basically they were told to dress like they were going to go run a Fortune 500 company. And my God, then bless their hearts, they went to the middle schools and the high school. Kids just ridiculed them and made fun of them and like, oh, look at his pointy shoes, look at his tie. Who does he think he is coming in here telling me what to do? You know, like you're really kind of putting people at a disadvantage when you do that.
Okay, so now let's switch it and go to professional learning. We've got a few more minutes. What should professional learning look like, in your opinion, if we really want teachers to grow?
Okay, so professional learning has to be done as a group. I think it's easy to ask teachers to sit in their own classroom, watch a 20-minute video, but is that meaningful? And is learning actually taking place? In my experience, no. I think we learn best when we are able to engage in rich conversations with our peers. Emphasis on the rich conversation. In our Instructional Excellence Academy, we're going to provide time for those rich conversations. So even if a teacher is the only one in their school participating, we're going to give them a community of professionals to learn, grow, and have those rich conversations with. You know, it's all about that conversation and the collaboration that takes place as a result of the conversations. You can't have collaboration without a conversation. Teachers also need to feel confident in the fact that their learning is valued. So, a professional learning session on implementing reading comprehension strategies is pointless if no one is going to come into your classroom, watch you implement those strategies, and give you feedback.
If they just say, here it is, go forth and implement on your own. I see that a lot. Yep. Just, all right, go do it. You've heard it once. And you know, the thing about that is no one learns something the very first time.
Right.
So why are we doing that? It goes back to, and I think Justin mentioned this when he was on his last episode, that we need to look at how people learn.
Yes.
The science of learning, how people learn, and then implement that and do those things with their teachers as well. We don't give teachers practice time. We make them go practice it for the very first time in their classrooms with their students. Why are we not doing more of that in professional development sessions? Yeah.
That is just like what I said about the future teacher candidates. Having them go teach a lesson or even just teach, having them teach for the very first time in front of a group of students. Like, so crazy to me.
So one of the things that I know that you had wanted to bring out was initiative fatigue.
Yes. Yeah.
So if we're talking now on the hopeful side, how could schools support implementation then? So teachers, like you have been, aren't overwhelmed by initiative fatigue.
Yep. Really simple. Really simple. Some people may even call this harsh, but here we go. District leaders, you have to understand an initiative backwards, forwards, diagonally, and upside down before you ever ask your teachers to implement it. If you're asking a teacher to implement something, for the love of all things good and holy, you need to be able to answer the questions when they have them. I think that's common sense and common courtesy, but who am I? Another piece of common sense and common courtesy is quality over quantity. I'm going to say that again, quality over quantity. Let's have one or two really strong evidence-based initiatives instead of 20 mediocre ones that aren't backed up by research, are way too time consuming, and make teachers and students want to dive headfirst off of a cliff into a bed of sharp rocks.
I do see this one.
Mhm.
I do. Some of yours I have felt have sounded maybe a bit harsh, but now I do think you're spot on this one. I do. I've seen this. Um, and schools will even say, we're going to do one thing this year. One thing. And they start the year off by saying that. And again, like you just referenced, it's thrown at the teachers, not modeled, not explicitly explained. But then come about January, February, March, they're on eight initiatives, 9, 12, 15.
And also,
Yeah.
we need to clarify the definition of initiative and focus, because a lot of times I see those terms getting confused. Okay. Also, if you feel like you have to have an initiative for that school year, but that initiative is a piece of crap, just don't have one. Have a focus.
Reed Lyon said on his episode, this is one of my favorite things I've ever heard anyone say. We get really good at doing crap.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we do.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? If it isn't evidence-based, what are we doing with everyone's time? Okay, so if you can give teachers an additional resource, an additional support or opportunity, what would it be?
Oh, I love this one. Okay, resource. If you are a kindergarten first or second grade teacher and you do not have the Super Kids curriculum, I'm genuinely sorry. Of all the curriculums that I have seen or used in early childhood education, it is my personal favorite.
I know you love it.
I have not been paid to say this. Zaner Bloser
No.
does not know that is my resource. That's just my honest opinion. It's amazing. And all those things that people say about other curriculums, like, oh, it doesn't have enough of this, it doesn't have enough of that. I feel that Super Kids really, it covers it all, and it covers it in depth. Yeah.
And you've taught it. You've been in kindergarten with it. You've been in first grade with it. And you've been in second with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I taught first grade. And then whenever I was in college, I worked in a kindergarten classroom that did it. And then I did a block in college in a second grade classroom with it.
Yeah.
And I was also the interventionist of first and second grade that had that curriculum. And they have a portion called the 10-minute tuck-in that I was able to do in addition to the intervention curriculum that I had at the time. And it was absolutely amazing. Okay, so that's the resource.
Okay.
Support. Here we go. Find a group of like-minded teachers and help each other out mentally and emotionally. If your coworker has a challenging class, because that happens, and that is not putting blame on the kids. Okay, it's not. There are some years where school is just challenging. It might be because of things in your personal life. I don't know what the reason is, but you will have some years that are challenging. Okay, if you know that your coworker is having a challenging year, go help them out in their classroom for 10 minutes on your prep period. Last school year, when I was pregnant and exhausted, my sister-in-law did this. She didn't tell me. She just popped in my room one day and started helping kids with a math worksheet.
That's sweet.
Oh my gosh, it meant the world to me. And it was so amazing. And I was like, yes, like we need to do this for people. Like that's amazing. So opportunity, experience, professional development provided by Dr. Jan Hasbrook.
Oh,
I snuck into one of her sessions when I was in college, and it was life changing. It was life changing. Yeah, it
yeah.
really was. I didn't
She's outstanding.
So I said I snuck into a session. Like I didn't illegally sneak into it, but I wasn't technically a teacher in that district. I just kind of joined. But
Is that when we invited you in?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. You were at
And a
college
few
and you
other,
got to see her?
yeah, and a few other future teacher candidates from my
Yes.
university.
Yeah,
We
and we
got
invited you guys
yeah,
in. Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, that's a great opportunity for
Yeah,
future teachers. I think you
but
got to watch Laura Stewart too, didn't you?
yes, and then now I was
Yeah.
also a teacher in a district where Laura came to multiple times, and also phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. All right. So I want to focus now heavy on hope. What gives you hope about the future of education?
All the people who have been a part of this podcast. You know, I see the work that you're doing, that Nora is doing, Justin, Molly, Mitchell, so many others, and it's inspiring. And I'm thankful that the students of this country have you all as the people taking charge and leading the way.
Well,
And
thank you.
and one of my favorite things is you guys are not stuffy, like you know
We don't try to be. No.
yeah, you guys are not stuffy people. You're very down to earth. So people like they see the genuine like concern that you all have, and they see the effort that you're putting in. And for you it's not about making money for you guys. I mean, there's a lot of work that you all do for free,
Yeah.
because not every district has a budget to bring in people
Yeah.
with professional development. So there's a lot of work that you guys do pro bono for free out of the goodness of your heart, because you are truly so dedicated to seeing all students learn.
Well, thank you.
Oh.
All right. What's one instructional practice? Because you're big on instructional
Mhm.
practices. You've used so many that have gotten such outstanding results. So what is one instructional practice you believe every teacher should master because of its impact on student learning? What's one you would
Yeah,
share?
dyad reading. It has moved mountains in every classroom and every grade that I have used it in.
You've used that one in multiple grades, right?
Oh my gosh, yes,
In
literally.
all of them? Yeah.
Every single grade I've taught, and it's looked a little different. The
Right.
practice itself has been the same, but like the type of text that was used,
Sure.
so for example, like when I taught middle school, it was a page of the novel that we would,
Right.
and in first grade, it was a page of a passage that they were on for the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been amazing. And oh my gosh, when I taught first grade, oh, that growth. I mean, I had a student who went from 10 words at the beginning of the school year to 70 by the end. So she was on grade level. And we asked the student, we said, what made this possible? Oh, and this little child said, well, Dad, reading.
Oh, I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah. And so that's another thing. You need to call it dyad reading, and you need to explain the purpose behind it. And my kids know dyad reading is repeated reading, and it increases fluency.
Yeah.
Every grade I've ever taught, they've been able to say that like a little robot.
So what advice would you give to a first year teacher who is feeling overwhelmed? Because I know you've been there. So what advice would you give to
Yeah.
that teacher?
You need to breathe, take a breath, find someone in your building who can give you guidance in your teaching and guidance emotionally. There are a lot of big emotions that come your first year of teaching, and you need help navigating those just like you do your instruction. My biggest piece of advice is stop taking work home. You have a life and you need to live it. Develop a structured after school routine and give yourself time to be yourself. You cannot get lost in work. If you died tomorrow, they would replace you as they sent the mass email saying that you had died. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. I mean, they're going to miss you and they're going to be sad as they are sending the email, but the school year would go on. It would. So don't bury yourself in work.
What advice would you give to veteran teachers who feel exhausted, but they still love kids?
First and foremost, I would give them a hug, remind them that their heart is in the right place, that genuine love is exhausting, and I would look at them and say, I have been there. I see you and I feel your pain. Okay. Then I would tell them again, we have to have a healthy balance between work and home. And that's what made the difference for me. If I could not complete it on my plan time, an hour before school or an hour after school, I had to let it go. So if I had a lot of work to do, I would choose, okay, am I going in an hour early or am I staying an hour late?
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do. Because when we feel rested, we are truly at our best and our instruction is at its best. And that has to be our main priority. How can I be the best? How can my instruction be the best for these kids? Also, we have to speak up. We have to be open and let people who we trust know that we are exhausted. We cannot be helpful if we don't know how others are feeling. So I'm never just going to go up to a teacher and say, oh my gosh, could I make all of your copies for you? But if I know that there's a teacher who is exhausted and they just need to be done for the day, I would not care to make their copies for them. That would be
Yeah.
something that I could do. But if we're not honest, and if we aren't open, then those things can't happen. And I feel like there is this stereotype that teachers have to be bright and bubbly and positive, but that is not the case every day. This is a very demanding, this can be a very frustrating job, and it's okay to say, I am tired, or I am frustrated, or oh my gosh, if, one more eraser gets thrown in my room, I'm going to lose my mind. Those are all natural feelings that we are allowed to have, but we have to have people to support us and help us through those times.
So let's wrap up with some final questions for sake of time. I want to end with, or close to the end with this. When a teacher listens to this episode, because you have said some things that I don't know how they landed. So when a teacher listens to this episode on the way to work or tomorrow morning, what do you hope they carry with them into their classrooms from this episode?
Well, a broken teacup and some paper towels because we have spilled the tea. Then I hope they're greeted with the coffee of their choosing. Just kidding. Although that would be fantastic.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Seriously, yeah, seriously. I hope teachers carry with them a sense of purpose and a longing for justice. Our purpose is to ensure that all students are learning, and justice will be awarded when we make this our reality. If we know this is not happening, then it is our responsibility to spark change and make it happen. You got me a sweatshirt once at a conference that said literacy and justice for all.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, that's my personal mission statement, is literacy and justice for all.
Yeah. Okay, so if a principal's listening, what do you hope they hear and do differently on Monday morning because of this conversation we've had?
One, I don't want principals to think that I believe they're the enemy. That is not at all the message that I'm trying to convey.
No, because that's not your belief.
No,
No.
absolutely not. And I have always, like, even if I have not agreed with things that my principals have done, I have tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I have tried to be kind. And I've also tried to be an outlet of support, like,
Yeah.
please come to me with your frustrations and let me help you. But I do hope that principals look at their to-do list and ask themselves, which items on this list are going to benefit our students the most? And that is where they start.
Okay. Thank you. So, thanks for sharing some personal things. How do you feel? Was
I
it
feel
all that
good.
you had hoped it would be? The unfiltered episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it? Okay.
I-
Well, I'm glad you had this opportunity.
I really just wanted to just be able to, like, throw some things and be like, you, so and so, you be better. But I didn't.
You did not, and you did not call names. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for not doing that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, you spoke in general terms, so thank you. So again, Gretchen, though, thanks for in your wording, spilling the tea, and for reminding us that there are hard conversations in education that we do need to have.
We don't need to be afraid of them.
What'd you say?
And we can't be afraid of them.
No, we have to address truths, and we all get better by doing it. So I hope our listeners heard what I heard today, that this wasn't about criticizing education. It was not about naming names or pointing fingers. It was actually about trying to honor this profession and honoring it enough to tell the truth in an effort that we get this right for the teachers and the students that are involved in all of our schools. Because when we acknowledge what's making teaching harder than it needs to be, we can create opportunities to lead differently, support teachers more effectively, and ultimately, Gretchen, what you have always wanted, improve outcomes for students.
Yes.
So if today's episode resonated with you, I encourage you to continue the conversation with your colleagues and ask yourselves, what truths are we willing to face? What can we as teachers influence? What small changes could make a big difference for our fellow teachers and for students? And at Grit and Grace, that's what we're all about. Having courageous conversations that lead to meaningful change. So thank you as always for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, I ask that you please share it with a colleague, leave us a review, let us know, send me those messages, and help us continue building a community of educators who are committed to learning, leading, and growing together. Thank you again, Gretchen. Yes.
I want to add one thing. Okay, so I know that we had encouraged people to reach out if they wanted this unfiltered, tell all, spill the tea episode. I know that often there are ideas that I think would be good. And one of those that I've kind of been toying with is there is not always a ton of information out there for early childhood educators. So
Yeah.
if you would be interested, just please let us know if you would like to hear about some effective strategies in early childhood. I would love to share some of the things that I did and found success with. So if that's something that interests you, just please let us know.
Thanks for adding that.
Yeah.
Okay, so until next time, keep leading with grit, keep teaching with grace, and never, ever, ever, educators, stop believing in the power of great educators. You are the difference makers. You're the light. Grit and Grace, as always, is brought to you by Angela Hanlin and Associates. Bye.
Grit and grace, that's how we grow. Step by step and child by child, we know. There's power in the words we say. We lift the voices, light the way. Grit and grace, it's a journey we all share. For every child,